Dogs do like to put sticks in their mouth, right? But they don't play baseball. Dogs do like to chase after tennis balls, but they don't play tennis.
So did you do all the illustration work then?
Yeah, Shelley is the photographer, and she shot the dogs. Well, she took pictures of the dogs, and then I manipulated them and added all the artwork.
Just one more book, please.
Okay.
These are all people that I've used in my books for my realistic style. I've used over 100 people. In fact, I have all the books on the shelf over there. And the ones you saw on the wall in the gallery, most of them are book jackets using real people. These are real people.
And do you continue to use them for expressions or?
No, the only reason I actually keep them is just in case I didn't write these stories, I illustrated for other authors. If they write a sequel, 5 years after the book comes out or 10 years after the first book, I can't go back to these kids and say, could you pretend you're 10 years younger? I have to use all the original pictures because in series and sequels, usually the kids are the same age, except for maybe Harry Potter is a year older each time. But many series, the kids are the same age, so I have to use all my original pictures. But for the last 5 years, I haven't really needed them because I'm basically concentrating on my own books, my own writing, and my own books. So I haven't been illustrating for other authors for a while. Yay!
You must be amazingly well organized, though, to have that all there.
I like to give you that impression.
Okay.
I've over the years, and I've been doing it for 30 or 5 years, I found that there's a way to do things and you learn by your mistakes. And so after all these years, I've made so many mistakes that I finally have a system that works for me.
November 14th, 2008. Either we're not looking in the right place or the streets in this area aren't labeled properly. So we took the scenic route to our next destination, passing Emily Dickinson's house on the way. We finally arrived at Diane de Groat's place about an hour late. Yikes. Diane was amazingly gracious. For us, it was worth the wait. Diane demonstrated how she used her computer to put dogs in poses they can't physically do, like lounging on the couch with a newspaper, and how the computer and her tablet have transformed her illustration work. I'm Mark Blevis. On this edition of Just One More Book, Diane de Groat.
But they don't play in a band. And I'll show you the steps for this one. Dogs do fetch the newspaper, but
They don't read it.
very good. Okay.
I was
Now
gonna
see this
say
picture here? I'll show you like some of the pieces that went into that. So now we have it in black and white. Now Shelley is the photographer. She has to go and find a dog reading a newspaper, right? You think that's going to be easy?
No.
I don't think so. So here's what we do. First she finds a dog that she thinks would be a good dog. And she found this dog. It's a German wire-haired pointer. Okay. And he's a nice looking dog, right? His name is Lucas.
Oh, sweetie.
Now Lucas has a nice owner who's trying to hold him in all the positions. Like, come on, trying to hold him like he's lying back on a sofa, right? And he's trying all different ways and doing the best he can. I mean, Lucas is really having a good time here, right? Lucas is feeling the love.
Yeah,
you know?
he's trying. He thinks that's like
Good dog, Lucas, right? Now, this is what I have to work with. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's not reading a newspaper, is he? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pieces from all the different photographs she took. I used about 12 different pieces and tried to put all the pieces together until finally I have after about 12 pieces, then I can get the whole dog together. See, this is all done in Photoshop. It's really hard. And then I can put the newspaper on, and the rest is drawing. That's just drawing on this tablet here and filling it in. And then the floor was actually a photograph of a real floor. and then just adding all the details. This was my favorite part of the book right here. Look at those braces.
Oh, cutie.
Think of how long it took me to do that. This was a week's worth of work. And
Whoa.
I had to take out his canines. Sorry, dog. Because the braces just didn't fit. So now it looks like he has human teeth,
Yeah,
right?
but that's
Yeah.
cute.
How do they make the decision, or who makes the decision that it's going to be Christmas next year? I mean, who's to say the book couldn't be ready in 2 months and then run it to print?
Because it's the marketing department that decides. Also, it takes a year for them to print it. So when we were given the contract, we were given the date when it has to be done so that they can have it ready for Christmas of 2009. They'd like to promote it as a gift book. So 2009, it seems like a long way away, a year from now, but hey, we're still deciding on a title and a cover. So it's also the sales people that are involved in in this case, to decide what the title is and what's on the cover, because they know what people will buy and what will sell. So I think we'll listen to what they have to say because hopefully they're right.
But dogs don't write books.
Dogs don't write books, yeah. That's a good title. After it's all drawn like that, what I do is I color it in with all these swatches, and I'll show you I have. Let's say like this is a whole drawing here. What I'll do is I'll color it all in on the computer.
Wow,
Yeah,
they're possums.
once you learn how to do all the different brushes and tools in Photoshop, you can just color the whole drawing in, and I carry it about this far. So this is probably about 80% done, right? Then I'll take my watercolor paints, and then I'll paint directly on top of this paper to put all the details in and everything so that it looks like a watercolor painting, because the first 5 books were done totally in watercolor paint, and the last 5 books were done this way, and you shouldn't be able to tell the difference. So I enjoy working on the computer so much, but it really does have to match the other books. So that's why I do it this way. So I do all the drawing in the computer, all the coloring in the computer, and then all the detail work with watercolor paint afterwards. It has more of a hand in it, a more personal hand. You can see the brush strokes, you can see the hand, whereas the computer, like anybody can do that and it'll look the same basically. Whereas once you start adding the paint, I think it gives it much more personal. Although some people are very good with different painting programs in the computer that make it look like watercolor, but it's just easier for me. I don't want to learn another program. It's just easier for me to do it this way. And it is my chance to actually get my hands dirty with the paint again, just to remember how to do it. Because if I don't paint for a year, all of a sudden you have to go back and you almost forget how. You forget what brushes to use. You forget how much water has to be added. What color is that blue? I mean, I have to recreate it. So at least once a year with each book, I get a chance to use real paint. But I'm really enjoying the computer work a lot more, and especially with this Scholastic book, it's been very consuming, and I've really learned a lot on the computer just doing that. So that's why I'm doing it. So that's one style. The other style is totally digital, and I don't do anything from scratch anymore. I don't use pencils or papers at all. It starts in the computer and ends up here. And hopefully it ends up with a little paint on it too. So that's just my way of working. Do not let my editor see this. In fact, she didn't even know I was using the computer until after 3 books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that intentional, or did you do something special to make that?
I didn't know how they would feel about it because I was starting over with a new publisher and they wanted it to look like my other books, so I didn't want to make any waves, and I just gave them the art and it looked fine. So it was only about a few books later that I revealed this is how I'm doing it. And then it turns out that so many artists are using the tablet, especially for drawing. A lot of people will use the tablet for the drawing, and then just print out the drawing and paint on top of it. So they use this for all their composing and their thinking work and their flexible work right here. And then they'll use the paint for just the way they would use, normally they would use paint. So I'm not the only one doing, using this tablet. Almost everyone, I'd say about 90% of the illustrators I know have a tablet for some use. Not everyone is doing this, but there are many artists who completely do their artwork like this. And there are many illustrators in our illustrators group even that it's totally digital art. And so think about it. When you look at a book, you have to think, look at it. And if you look inside the copyright page, sometimes it will tell you how it was done, and sometimes it'll say it was done totally in digital, or mine will say a combination of digital and watercolor. It's exactly the same way of thinking. It's just a different medium. When I write the stories, I don't write them totally with the illustrations in mind, but after I finish the story, then I start thinking, okay, what's going to go with this text? And it's the same approach I would use with a pencil and a paper, just trying to figure out the layouts and the content. It's fun. I'm having fun on the computer because I don't have the stress. When you paint something or draw something, you get one shot at it, and if it's wrong, you have to do it all over again. Whereas if I'm just playing around with this, see, this is not finished. I can completely change this however way I want and figure out what color the background's going to be. I can figure this all out, and if I don't like it, I could push a button. I can take more chances, take more risks, try different colors that I would not normally do if I had one shot at it. I mean, with watercolor, I would have to think, oh, let's see, what color should it be? Blue? What color blue should it be? I can try all different things until it's exactly the way I want it, and which I wouldn't do that with watercolor. I would take the safe route and say, well, a light blue will work, but this way I say, well, let's see, why don't we just try it, a totally different palette. And so I find myself using not so much the earthy colors that I'm always safe with, but I will use some little brighter colors. So with the books done this way tend to have a little brighter colors that I would be afraid to use, with one shot. Well, I like drawing the animals for the Gilbert books, but my favorite character to draw is not Gilbert because he's really hard to draw. He's just hair. He's just hair. He doesn't have a shape to his head or anything. I think my favorite animal to draw in the books is Patty. She's the hedgehog, because she's easy to draw. She has that little pointy nose and those little spiky backs, so she's easy to draw. But Gilbert's hard to draw. So I like drawing the animals. I don't like drawing things with straight lines like buildings. I don't like drawing cars. I like drawing things that are round. I like drawing trees that have form, and I like drawing animals. Yeah. So that is the tablet. Now, after you've been doing it for a couple of years, it just becomes like a pencil, and very easily it just feels like you're sketching. It really does just feel like you're sketching. And also, it's portable. So when I'm on the road, I could just take my laptop on this and just carry it, and I can do all the work I'm doing here while I'm on the road, because I do a lot of school visits and I'm in hotels a lot, and so I could just take it all. I mean, it's a lot harder to take all your watercolor paints and all that, but I can do all the computer work easily while I'm on the road.
Do you carry a sketch pad anymore?
Never. Never? I haven't used a sketch pad in years. It's the busman's holiday. I don't like to draw for fun anymore because it's my work. I'd rather do other creative things for fun, whether it's the gardening or cooking or something, there are other creative things besides paint and pencils. It really, I'm doing this all day long. The last thing I want to do in my free time is sketching. Although if I'm on vacation, I'll keep a journal and maybe I'll do little sketches, but more for recalling places and things I want to remember, rather than I'm not just sketching, Michelangelo's David. I could buy a postcard. So I'm doing it all day, and I love doing it. So it's not something I do in my free time.